The Suicide Squad is a movie directed by James Gunn, which stars a bunch of obscure DC Comics villains on a mission to find Project Starfish and Corto Maltese. I freaking love this movie. In the first week it came out, I saw it twice, and I'm confident to say it's probably one of my favorite comic book films, and definitely my favorite DC Comics film. I will be spoiling big parts of this movie throughout this analysis, so if you have the slightest interest in watching The Suicide Squad, do it. The first viewing of this film without knowledge of who lives and dies is some of the most engaging stuff I've watched. Though even if you get spoiled on who lives and dies, I'd still recommend seeing this movie. I'll start off by talking about the excellent costume designs, which keep the creativity of the comic book designs while making them practical and cool, from Bloodsport's mask to Peacemaker's bright red suit. Then there's all these cool little visual touches in the directing and editing, from the fun way text is displayed throughout the film to the morbidly hilarious credit sequence where it pans over all the people who died in the first few minutes, but it's edited like a sitcom intro. It's great stuff, though my favorite aspect of the film comes down to the characters. James Gunn has a knack for getting a talented cast of big-name actors and using them to their fullest acting potential on film. Even if it's a character who died within the first 10 minutes, they get some fun stuff to do with that limited screen time. Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, is the closest thing this film has to a protagonist, as he works well as the straight man to everyone's wacky personas. He also has a wholesome father-daughter dynamic of Ratcatcher 2, played by Danella Melchior, who's probably my favorite character in the film. She's a sweet girl who's also very sleepy and is a joy to watch in every one of her scenes, especially during her emotional moment at the climax of the film, which tugged at my heartstrings something fierce. Peacemaker, played by John Cena, gets some of the funniest lines in the film through his flat but charming delivery, but this is also the character that has a big part of the film's commentary on the United States military, of how he claims to be for peace, yet is a ruthless killer who will murder anyone and do anything for his own false sense of peace. This gets further expanded on throughout the film, and it's bold stuff, especially when other film franchises, like Marvel, get paid by the US military to use their tech and make them look cool. Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, is what I like to consider a guest character in this movie, since she's separated from the main team for most of it and goes on her own subplot, but still entertaining stuff, and showcases how Harley has grown since Birds of Prey. And then there's Starro, who is probably one of my favorite villains in anything ever. I was first introduced to the character in the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon, and his concept scared me. A starfish villain from space who can send his little starfish people to enslave entire planets? Yeah, it's goofy, but it's also terrifying, and the film makes sure to show you how terrifying it is. All of this helps that the film has an R rating, so they go nuts with the horror angle. Also, King Shark is the most adorable man-eater I've ever seen. I could keep going about how much I love The Suicide Squad, but if I did, I'd just talk about the entire movie, which I'd recommend you watch on your own. Even if I knew who was gonna live and die on my second watch, it was still a tension-filled, crude yet hilarious, and emotional movie to re-experience. Gunn said he focused on creativity rather than perfectionism with this film, which is a philosophy that stuck out to me when researching for this video, and something that helped me write this very video. And that philosophy oozes out of every scene in this film. So yeah, that was the video. Hopefully I was able to express why I love this movie so much, because I really do love this movie so much. Make sure to tip your waiters, stay hydrated, and I'll see you later.